Hi friends, good morning, afternoon, whatever time it is when I'm seeing you. Welcome to Canvas. I'm going to walk you through the basic setup of the software and how to add your template file and then point you in the direction of where we're getting started today. So first thing you're going to do is log into Canvas. If you don't have Canvas yet, it's chill. I will email you the one resource file that you need in order to work on this setup. So the resource file that you'll need is in this week 1 folder under resources. Shocking. And if you click on that tab, it'll take you here and you can hit this download button to download the template file for this class. I've already downloaded it, so it gave it a number 2. I'm going to show that in Finder and it's going to pull it up on my other monitor, but I'll bring it over here for us to see. There it is. Cool, cool, cool. I am going to create a folder that this lives in on my desktop. You should do that, but you should also get flash drive and actually store your files on there, right? So you can put it on the desktop for the moment just so you can find it. But ultimately you want to store your content safely on a removable drive. But for now, there's our Pomona template. Love, great, wonderful. The next thing I'm going to do is open the Vectorworks 2023 software. It may be in Launchpad for you if it's not on your dock. If you want it to be on your dock, you can drag it there from Launchpad. I've already opened it because it takes a second for it to fire up and work. And then I'm going to go ahead and start with a new file. And then in a minute, I'll open that other file. So I'm going to create a blank document. I click OK. Vectorworks is going to open. Oh, hey, it opened on the wrong monitor. Let me bring it back over to join us. So there are 2 little windows that just flew open. Mine looks different from yours, and that's because I've already changed some of these settings, but I'm going to walk you through where you're going to go. So the first thing I need you to do is go up to this top menu. It does not look like mine on your computer. If you go into Workspaces, you're probably here in Design Suite. I'm going to let it rethink its little life. Yeah. So you probably have some tabs like this as your menus. There are different menus for different use settings. For this platform, we will be using Spotlight, which is the theatrical standard. And that will be found in Tools, Workspaces, Spotlight. There are a couple of things that we may adjust in terms of these workspaces. We'll get into that later in the semester. For right now, just switch into the standard Spotlight workspace. So again, that's Tools, Workspaces, Spotlight. It's going to take a second and reset everything, right? So it gives you a new menu settings. It gives you new top menus across the top of the page, and it changes which tools are available to you in these side panels for easy access. Not all tools are available in all workspaces, and when you pay them money, you can pay for different arrangements of tools, in which case you might not get all of the tools that are available in this educational version. But for us, we're cool. We have this full operational sets. The next thing I'm going to have you do is a couple of things having to do with the page that you're on, right? So my page right now has no grid and no page boundary. Yours probably looks like this, okay? And you do not have these buttons over here because they are not part of the default, right? I choose to turn off the grid and the page boundary in a 3D model space because I am never going to print from a 3D model space, right? If you look over here in navigation, there are a couple of different tabs here. In Vectorworks, we have design layers, which are 3D model layers, and then we have sheet layers, which are layout for print. So in my case, in order to maintain clarity in where I am in my drawing and help me orient myself in general, I will start with design layers. I will only draw in design layers, and then I will plate and export from sheet layers. So there will be no time when I print off of this page, right? So I don't need a page outline, and the grid is not relevant to my life. So what you will do in order to hide these two things is you'll pop over here into this menu. It's a little twirl down arrow, caret over here. You will have it show grid, and you will have it show page boundary, okay? Those are little buttons that pop up. So when you click on them and enable them, now you have buttons here. Those I will now turn off, okay? So I now no longer see a grid, no longer see a page boundary. My life is better for it, okay? The next thing I'm going to have you do is just a couple of preferences in the Vectorworks Preferences tool. So if you come over here to Vectorworks Preferences, it may be at a slightly different place if you are on a PC. So if you're setting this up on your home computer and it's not a Mac, it probably is in the File menu, but I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head because I haven't taught on a PC in a while. But there is obviously no Vectorworks pull-down menu on a PC. If you go into Preferences here, there are a few things that I will have you change right away, and then there are things that you can or should know about should you want to change them later. So one of them here is in display, things for you to know about. These are all available to you. It might be helpful to show your scroll bars in case you get lost. That will help you move around in your drawing. I typically don't use the scroll bars, but it's something that could be helpful to you. The next thing that I would look at is here in Session. I'm going to have you uncheck this box here that says create a new document on startup. You do not want it to just proliferate untitled files. It is a recipe for trouble. You don't want to be drafting an untitled file. You always want to be drafting in your template file, and you want to know what you're up to with that. So uncheck this box and it will never again create this untitled version that is not an actual piece of content. Up here is where you choose the number of undos. If you feel like you might get yourself in trouble and need an extraordinary number of undo, like go backs, you can add undos, or if you find that you keep crashing into the limit of undos, that right there is available to you to add more of them. This will chew up a little processor because it's got to hold all that stuff in memory, but it's generally relatively easy to play. Palette margins on both sides is the way that we want to keep it. If you come down here to, let's see, 3D, I don't really play with that. Autosave. Autosave is great. You want it to save a backup. I usually at least want it to save a backup. It'll do that automatically. This box here is the confirm before save box, which means that you will get a pop-up asking you if you want to save. Because I'm auto-saving a backup copy and not overwriting my original file, I like to uncheck that box and not have little pop-ups fly up in my face, but you do you. And then I usually have it save 2 or 3 rather than just one back copy. But both of those things are super helpful just to save your life. If you are doing a lot of work very quickly, you can change this from minutes to operations, and it'll auto-save based on the number of things you do instead of the number of minutes that you sit in the software. So those are also options you can adjust depending on your work style. These things I'm going to leave alone. If you have you're on your own computer, if you want to put something in a specific place, you totally can. We're going to leave that alone for now. Smart Options Display makes little icons fly out off of the corners of your mouse as you sit in the software. I find it distracting more than helpful. I'm going to teach a lot of keyboard shortcuts. I am not so much using this interface option, and I find it annoying. So this is something I uncheck. If you love it, you can keep it, but I wouldn't. At least to start, I would simplify the stuff on your screen. This is especially annoying if you're trying to draft on a laptop screen because you just don't have, it just becomes more visual clutter in your workspace. So those are the preferences that I tend to set. Let's do, last thing real quick, let's load this template file. So you can double click on it and it should open it right up in here. It's watermarked because it's an educational version document. The educational software we have actually is like it doesn't have the watermark on it. Anything you create with your own educational license it's chill either way. Don't worry about it, right? So here is a template file for you. You'll notice it has some stuff already populated, some design layers, some sheet layers. We're on the scenery layer, which is where I usually start anyway, but you'll learn a whole lot more about all of that later. In any case, we're here. This is where you wanted file to be when you open it. And in order to use it as a template, instead of just saving it as, you're going to go to the file menu and you're going to select Save as Template, right? Which will place it in the templates folder on your computer. And then every time you're creating a new document, you can use that template as your baseline. We'll talk a little bit more about setting up your own template later in class, but we're going to start from this one because it's going to make your life a lot easier. Instead of saving it as default, which is an option, right? You can save it if you're working on your own computer and you're only ever using your own default template. Totally can do that. I use different templates depending on different times. So I'm going to actually just save this as the Pomona template 2023, just so that I can easily identify it. I click Save. It's now placing that into its template memory. It has changed to an untitled file because it's now coming off of that template. If you close all of these untitled files and don't save them, we haven't done anything in them, right? We can now create a new file, and where it says create blank document, we will instead use a document template. We will come into the drop down, we will search up our template, our very special we made it ourselves template right there, and say okay, and now you are in this new file. If you don't want it to tell you about how it's watermarked, you can click OK, or you can have it never show you that again. Yay. Okay, cool. So here we are now in the Pomona template, which has a whole bunch of fun stuff that you'll use later. So that's the basic setup. I'm going to have you guys actually head straight into the logo project if you have time today, or before class next Monday, and we will then do some more detailed interface learning once we've kind of gotten our feet wet drawing. So that is your setup and intro. Thanks, friends. I will talk to you later. Bye.